Welcome back to the tape. Now that you've mastered the armbar techniques and the basic escapes, let's take a look at the wrist techniques, the wrist locks and the wrist attacks. Now, before we talk about these generically, let's just take a look at a fundamental point of all wrist attacks. There's only a certain number of general categories of movement that apply to the wrist from the perspective of self-defense. And almost all attacks are in some way a combination of the following. Sir, if you'll assist. Let me borrow your hand if you don't mind. Wrist flexion. Flexion is when a joint bends back onto itself. Okay, this would be wrist flexion. This would be wrist flexion. Okay, and what you do is you flex a wrist beyond its ability to react to the flexion, then it becomes an attack or a self-defense technique. So for example, mild flexion into a critical flexion, the opponent goes down and the technique is effective in its own right. So remember that flexion is when a joint bends into itself. Other examples would be your arm bending back up to your bicep. That would be flexion. Extension would be when a joint bends out and away from its natural plane of folding. It would be the opposite move to flexion. Flexion would be like this. Extension would be like this. You can see the effect and the impact for extension. Okay? In many respects, an armbar is an example of an extension move because flexion would be on the opposite plane. Okay, usually flexion is part of what the human body is able to do comfortably. Extension is usually opposite of what the comfortable movement is. Now there are some examples of ways that you can work flexion against itself by putting devices into the flexion equation to augment the power of the flexion. Okay, stand up, sir. Okay, so first is flexion, second is extension. Okay, third move is twisting. Twisting outward, meaning to the side. We call this laterally. Lateral means away from the center line of the body, so this would be a lateral twist. Okay, if he was here with his left hand, the lateral twist would be here. Same concept. Okay? The opposite to the lateral twist would be the twist inside the hand, would be a medial twist, would be here. See the twist? Twist, and you can change this into other techniques, of course. This would be a flexion. See how it becomes a flexion? Okay? So what do we have now? A flexion, extension, twist outward, twist inward. Next are the pinches. Pinches, several different varieties. Up, pinch. Okay? You can grab with one hand, one finger, pinch. Most people use these like 3 fingers. Sort of a 6-gun kind of movement. I'm going to let you take a close look at this. See my hand in a 6-gun position? Take 3 fingers, and you can practice it this way with your partner. See the 6-gun? Wherever my finger points is where the maximum leverage is going to be against the pinched wrist. Now, pinch means that the wrist and the ligaments and the nerves of the wrist are tightened so much that they're at their extremes of comfort. So just a little bit more motion puts them beyond the red line to the point of pain. Okay, in this case, you could take the person all the way down to the ground. Okay, now watch closely. If I want to vary this to an extension move and get him back up, I just turn it over and get him back up. See the extension. Different kind of an arm lock. Now we're going to take a real close look at these techniques right now. I'm going to ask that the camera zoom in on the hand position because the key move to all the wrist techniques, and also the hardest one to master, is the basic outward twist of the wrist. So he comes forward with a punch or with his hand, whatever it is. Get back just a bit, sir. Here's my position. I land on his wrist. See where my thumb is at? There's a little spot there between the little knuckle, the number 5 finger, and the number 4 finger. That's a control point. Now just keep your eyes on the equation here as we turn it about so you can see the opposite side. See how I'm grasping the fleshy part of his thumb also as a control point. Now I'm going to let you see both sides here. One side, other side. One side, other side. Now that alone, in the grip of an experienced martial artist, is enough to take the person down or to break the wrist. That alone will do it. But if you're just learning this technique, assist it with your second hand. Come over the top. With the palm of your hand, exert an assisting force to take the person down. Okay? So here's how you practice it. He puts his hand out like he's going to touch me. I grab it to control it. Make sure I've got the points under control. And I turn my body, taking it out. Assisting. Okay? I come back, mirroring. He does the same. Assisting. He comes in. Here. Grab. Down. Coming back. Again. In. Down. Now watch. Variation. At this point, with one hand. Okay? Try that. You try it too, sir. Variation. One hand. Okay? He comes. Here. Quick variation to one hand. Comes a throw. Backward throw down to the ground. Okay? Inside wrist move. This is still the same wrist technique. It's a lateral wrist twist, but you're doing it from the inside position. Watch closely. Here, I'm doing it inside out. Rather than the way we were just doing it, I'm doing it from the inside, going out, reversing the technique, but still basically doing the same technique. So for example, he comes in with a left hand attack. I do the wrist twist, assisting. Now he grabs my right hand using his left hand. This time I'm doing the control with my left hand. Same technique. Okay, but I switched hands, outside. Snap, you can see the torque and the pressure it's putting on. But watch closely now, because here's a variation that's all important for you. He grabs, technique, going in, down, under, and up, driving the elbow into the solar plexus. Now this tightens this whole upper body and causes a great deal of nerve pain throughout the system. See it? It also cranks the wrist, the elbow, and the shoulder so they're at the point of near snapping. He grabs with the right hand, same situation, under, over, up. See how it works. Now watch closely. If I don't want to snap the elbow, if I just want to control him or disorient him, or if his partner's coming from that direction, same technique over here, into an arm bar, driving him down to ground, or into his partner's incoming direction. Okay? How do these work with multiple attacks or multiple techniques, whatnot? He comes in, grab two hands. Okay? Same move we were just doing, the inside wrist lock, under, over. Other side, under, over. Grabbing with two hands. Here you can go to an arm bar, or you can go to a wrist lock, just like we were doing. Okay? I had to give Sensei Chris a respite here because I'm wearing out his joints, so I'm going to let him do a little bit back at me. I grab, he can just do a release any way he can get into it. Good. I grab his sleeve. Okay, now convert it. There you go. That's the all-important transition, which we're going to talk about right now. All joint locks, manipulations, arm bars, and control techniques relate. It's just like little knots on a string. They're all part of the string, and each one can take the place of the other at any point in time. So if you step back just a bit, sir, throw a punch in, arm bar. Now watch how I transition from an arm bar to an outside wrist lock with my right hand. All the way down to the ground. Up here, sir. This is an all-important transition, so you need to practice this and master it. Now there's two variations of this transition. We're looking at the basic variation right now. He punches, a trap, arm bar, wrist lock, down. Okay? Excellent control on his part. Again, always protect your partner going down. Over here, sir. You punch, look at the setup. There's the arm bar. Now it could be a snap. See it? It could be a snap. You can hit here. You can hit, kick, then do the wrist twist. Now watch closely. If you need to augment the power on this, convert it into a number 4 reverse wrist twist to the outside, which goes from the arm bar, number 4. Can you see the number 4? And down. Now watch closely as he's down on the ground. See the control that you have? All the way down on the ground. Up, sir. Okay, opposite side. Since at Chris demonstrating, I'm attacking. Okay, good. Okay, all of these techniques, useful, on point, direct applications. You have to do them with the intent to learn the technique, but also in such a way that you don't injure your partner. At any point in time when a technique is applied full pressure, the sound of a double tap means release immediately. Don't fail to do that. If you get to the point where you're getting careless practicing these techniques, end the practice session before injury occurs. Okay, we'll move on to the next learning segment.